definitely. We are this platform, y'all.
What?
Anyway, welcome to Three Chicks in a Pod. Welcome to Chicks and Salsa. We are so glad to be on. It has been a while since I've been on, so just wanted to kind of update everybody. It's been a while. My granddad passed away, and so that's why I was away the week that I was supposed to be on, and then last week I was with the team. Um, Clearly. So it's just kind of been a whirlwind of 2 weeks for me, but I'm so glad I get to be on and see your ladies' faces. How is y'all's week going? How's the last couple of weeks been since it's been a while since we talked?
Well, as I told you off camera, I have a brain disconnect, so the words are not coming out my mouth. I'm just kind of watching them float by my eyes.
Exhaustion is what that sounds like.
Probably very close to it. Other than that, not much going on in my world.
And Candy, how's your couple weeks have been?
It's been going good. It's been going good. We're planning. Me and Scott are going on a cruise, so we've been planning
That's
that.
so
We are
exciting.
super excited. So we're going on a European cruise. So we'll see how it goes.
That's really exciting.
Yeah.
I have always wanted to go on a cruise. I personally, I want to go up to Alaska. That's where I want to go. I had a friend that just took a cruise up there and then spent 2 weeks up there, and it just looks amazing. So, I hope y'all have the best time. Sorry, my dogs
Thank
are
you.
barking in the background. Y'all know how it goes. Chico, chill out. So we had some exciting news before this afternoon. So in the NBA, Chico, in the NBA, the New York Knicks coach got let go this afternoon. So Tom Thibodeau was let go from the New York Knicks. Carrie, you want to talk a little bit about that? And I'll definitely add in. I have, of course, it's basketball, so of course I have some thoughts.
Right. He's been the Knicks coach for the last 5 years.
Hmm.
Guided them to the playoffs 4 out of 5 seasons. He led them back to back 50 plus win and campaigns since the first time since 1991 through 95. He was
Right.
named um, Coach of the Year in 2021, and today he finds himself without a job. Um,
Yes.
kind of anticipated this a little bit because the Knicks were so close and then they fell apart. The wheels literally fell off their bus as you were watching them play. But as Megan mentioned to offline, Tom is very big on defense. And while that is really fun to watch and that gets you involved in the game, if you have no offense to support that defense, um, defense can only take you. I mean, defense wins championships, yes, but no, you have to score as well. So, um, Megan, what else do you have to add about?
So Tom, as a head coach, like, because he's been an assistant for a long time too, but as a head coach, he was at Minnesota, Chicago, and then New York. In those two different destinations, Minnesota and Chicago, both times he had Jimmy Butler on both of those rosters. He had Derrick Rose in Chicago, but also had him in New York. So I think that if you and Tom have a good relationship, he'll definitely be there for you. And we know the nature of the business. Sometimes you move around with teams. That goes with coaches, front office, athletes, for everybody. Sometimes you just move around. That's part of it. And I think that I don't want to say he's a player's coach, but I think he has players that he likes, and that also like him too. So I don't want to say this is about his personality or anything like that. But then you also have players like Evan Fournier, who was on the Knicks roster for a season and a half, I believe. And he was just literally, his career was dying there in New York. He is known as a sniper. He's a 3 point shooter. He was a part of the French national team that played the United States so well. Now, they didn't win, but they played them incredibly well in the gold game. And so he definitely could have filled a slot on the shooting. Um, but because he didn't play any defense, he got no playing minutes for Tom Thibodeau. And that seems to be his calling card, to be perfectly honest. And don't get me wrong, I think defense is vitally important. That's one of my favorite things about Tom is he didn't allow the art of defense to be lost from his game, from his teams. However, he didn't follow it up with shooting. When you have a team like OKC or Indiana, and both of those teams are putting up 130 pretty commonly. And if you can't put up 130 points to be able to keep up with them, clearly you're not going to be able to get to the next stage, because he's reached this stage several times and hasn't been able to go forward. And then also another problem, and it goes hand in hand with the offense. He doesn't trust his bench. And so his players, Josh Hart notably, got to be the minutes champion this year. And I don't know that that is necessarily the award you want to hang your hat on right there. I think you're overworked. We saw this exact same scenario last year, but a little more extreme actually, because everybody was injured, because they were all overplayed, because he just never goes in his bench, and so because he doesn't trust anybody to run it the way he has it. So I'm not surprised by this, and I do like Tom Thibodeau. Like I said, I like that he has made defense such an important part of his team. But I'm not a big fan of the term two-way player, because you should play both ways regardless. And, while he is enforcing the one side of that, he forgets about that second side a lot of times, because his starters that he compiles are so good, but you have to have a bench to back that up. We know I'm a San Antonio fan. I think the reason that we were so good for so long is because while our bench wasn't, clearly they weren't the starters. Now, had Ginobili been somewhere else, he probably would have been a starter, but our bench was comparable. And they could definitely go in and get the job done for 12 to 14 minutes. You don't need them to carry the entirety of the game, but you trust them while they were in. And I think that's vitally important. And we see why. So that's my thoughts on it. I do think Mike Malone will probably land in New York. And I love that for both sides. I think Mike had lost the locker room there in Denver, but I don't think that takes away from the type of coach that he is. And going to New York will be a fresh start for him. Now, obviously, that nothing's official about that, but if I'm New York, that's who I'm going after.
The one thing that I thought was really interesting about all of this is that Tom still has $30 million guaranteed. They just signed him to a 3-year extension last off season. So that's quite a hefty paycheck that they've got to eat. And I know these owners are millionaires and stuff like that, but still, that's a hefty to sign him to a 3-year extension last year and still owe him $30 million.
Right. Oh yeah.
It's kind of big.
Yeah, that's always one that I find to be kind of strange when, you're in the middle of a contract like that, and then you're going to have to double up, because you're going to have to pay him to not be your coach anymore. And then you got to pay your new coach to be the coach. Mm-hmm. So not ideal. You probably should have stuck with him if that was the aspect you were going with. But I mean, it's the Knicks. They got some money.
Correct.
I'm looking at I need to find a job or coaching position that I can be and still make millions of dollars.
You should go apply for Texas A&M. Any of those coaches are getting let go and getting paid.
Okay, so Texas A&M, Nick, we can also where are the other leagues that I can go in and
absolutely
find cents, and they get 30 million just for
for not going to work. Ask Jimbo Fisher. He got all kinds of money to not go to work.
Mm-hmm. Unemployment, 30 million for coaching. Unemployment for Kari, 30 cents. Perfect.
Well, didn't I read like Max Scherzer? I mean, I know he's a player, but I think he's getting paid by 4 different teams right now. Like, it's just crazy. Mm-hmm. Some of these guys.
So his time with the Rangers, we didn't pay him. We didn't pay him at all. New York paid him. The Mets paid him the entirety of the time he was with us.
Yep.
And he played at like a season and a half, or not even a half, probably a season and a quarter for us. And we didn't have to pay him a dime.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's possible.
Yep.
All right, let's slide into the WNBA a little bit. So just want to do an update for them. We are about 3 weeks into the season now at number 1 and number 2, because we got 2 teams with the exact same record. They're both 7-0. They're both undefeated. You got the Liberty at number 1. Then you got the Lynx at number 2. I think they're very similarly tiered teams. It does seem like Minnesota is on a mission to kind of make up for losing in the finals. But New York hasn't lost any steam. So definitely think that very similar tiered teams. Now, the Liberty is dealing with some injuries. But Nyjah is out for the season. Stewie is coming off a meniscus surgery, I believe, in between Unrivaled and the W. So not severe, but still may not quite be herself. Then at number 3, you got the Atlanta Dream. They are 5-2, and at number 4, the Mercury are also 5-2. These are two teams that I think are really interesting. The Mercury went through a bit of an overhaul. Obviously, DT retired. And then Kalia Copper is out right now as well. She also had a knee surgery. She should be back possibly 6 weeks. So the end of the season, or the last 3 quarters of the season, and then hopefully the postseason as well. But Phoenix also, they added Satu Sabali, and she's been a huge help for them there while Kalia is out. A team that is definitely in the middle of a rebuild. They got a new coach last season, and then their franchise player retired. So it's a new look for them, and to me it's a little surprising that they're ranked this high at the moment, but it's early. Last week the Valkyries were up there at like number 5 or something like that. No, they just hadn't played a ton of games yet, and they got served a couple of losses, and they're at the bottom of the rankings. So as they play a few more games, there's going to be a little differential between those. Atlanta added Brittany Griner during the postseason. They also got rid of a coach, and I think that is a huge factor for them. They did cut Haley Jones, who was subsequently picked up by the Mercury. I really like that pickup for them. Atlanta's just kind of a wild card factor to me. Like, I didn't quite expect them to be this good, more of a 6 or a 7, but they look great. So then at number 5, you got the Aces. They're 4-2. At number 6, you got the Storm. They are 3-4. At number 7, the Mystics also 3-4. I think the Mystics are much better than we expected. Another team that is in a complete rebuild, new coach, new front office. Elena Deladon officially retired. So there are some areas that they just had to completely rebuild, but they drafted really well. They got Kiki Irfin, who played her final year of eligibility at USC, but she is also a Stanford product. And then they also got Sonia Citron from Notre Dame. And both of those young ladies got their bid in on Rookie of the Year, because they're putting up numbers pretty similar to Paige. Where Paige was a clear number 1 pick, she's not necessarily a clear Rookie of the Year, to be perfectly honest. Those ladies are putting up really good numbers as well. Then let's go see. We've got the Storm at number 6. The Storm, I don't like the coach. I'm gonna be honest with you. She was an assistant there for a long time, and then she's been the head coach for a few seasons now. And it's not that I dislike her personally. I just don't think she's assertive enough to do the job at hand. Y'all remember when Tim Duncan was assistant coach for the Spurs, and he came in for Pop when Pop wasn't there, and he just didn't have the personality for it. Like, I don't see Timmy going in and getting ejected, because sometimes your coach needs to get ejected to show their players, like, hey, I'm behind you. I'll fight these refs. I'll whatever. And Tim just wasn't that guy. And I think Noelle's probably the same way. She just doesn't have enough fight in her to get in there and do the job, I feel like. So just my personal opinion on that. And when you have someone that isn't dominant enough at the head of things, you have someone like Skylar Dickens-Smith, who is incredibly dominant. That's just her personality. And so to me, she's really the player coach, to be perfectly honest. And when you have a player that is the coach, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. We shall see, but they're about what I expected them to be. Then at number 8, we got the Fever. The Fever are 2-4 right now. I think this is a little misleading, just because the first part of their schedule is pretty tough, and then they're without CC right now. I do think they have enough pieces that they should be winning games without her, And then they picked up Ari McDonald as well. Ari played for Ada Barnes there at Arizona. She was drafted by ATL. ATL was pretty rough, and I think it was more of a coaching issue, not Ari. But Ari is also an undersized guard, so take what you can get with that. But I think she'll definitely be a help there while CC is out. CC has a quad strain, so it could be some time before we see her back, but she will be reevaluated in about another week and a half, and they'll go from there. So, and then let's see here. We've got at number 9, you got the Valkyries. They're 2-4. This is your expansion team this year. They look pretty scrappy to be an expansion team. So not that I think that they're going to be good, but they could hand out a loss that could, be detrimental. Then at number 10, you've got the Sky. It's pretty bad in Chicago right now. They have had some issues before Angel and Camila got there, even before Tyler Marsh got there. They've had some issues on the coaching and front office side. And I think you just see that trickle down to the way that they play, unfortunately. So, hopefully they're able to turn it around. At number 11, you got the Sparks. You got more drama in LA. So Rakia Jackson, their star that they drafted in the first round last year, has unfollowed the team and also was not at the game last night. So not sure what's going on with that. They will be lost without Rakia Jackson. Now you got Kelsey Plum, you got De'Erica Hamby, so you got some veterans they were both played together at the Aces. However, you need Rakia Jackson. She was vitally important to that team. What were you saying, Carrie?
I said, well, that's interesting.
Right, agree. At number 12, you got the Wings. They're 1-6. They're terrible. They're not my team anymore. No. It's bad. Very similar to Chicago. I think that they've had some issues at the top of things, and it just trickles down to the way the team is run. They've had 5 head coaches in 7 years, and that's speaks for itself, in my opinion. You can't get control of your locker room when you're constantly shuffling coaches in and out like that. And the person that they hired at this moment is, I saw somebody post and called him Timu Jesus. I'm sorry. He's random. We don't know this guy. We don't know him. Does he know basketball? So yeah, it's bad for them. Then at number 13, you got the Connecticut Sun. It's bad for them too. However, we knew it was going to be bad for them. They are the team that their team was put up for sale in the first week of the season. Why you didn't put them up for sale during the off season is beyond me. They are owned by the Mohegan tribe, and definitely don't want to talk down on them because they saved that franchise from going under completely. They were the former Miami Miracle, and they bought them in a time of need, and just have not been able to keep up with what the team needs as the league has grown over the last 5 years. So I think the timing was really bad that they put it up for sale, but they lost every last one of their starters last year during free agency. So the results are what we expected. I'm just curious to see where they land. So that's your WNBA update right now.
Okay. Aja Wilson was the player of the week. Aja Wilson, yeah, this was done. Right?
Asia, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'm bad.
No, you're not bad. I've heard other people pronounce it that way, but she has said her name and it's pronounced Asia.
Okay. Well,
but she's incredible, and to me, it's between her and Fee as far as MVP. But we're still very early. We're about 7 or 8 games in, so it's still really early. But we shall see.
Been fun to watch her, for sure.
Yes.
So there is more playoffs going on, and it's going to start tomorrow night. We're talking hockey. We're talking the Stanley Cup. There are some people that would argue that is the toughest final to play. That hockey is such a grueling and hard-fought physical game that it's hard to get there. But it's the Edmonton Oilers versus the Florida Panthers once again. For the 12th time in NHL history and second time in 40 years, 2 teams will meet with the Stanley Cup on the line for the second consecutive season. So
And this is the series that it's on other sides. They're on different coasts, they're on different time zones. The travel is insane.
it is, and it starts tomorrow night, 8 p.m. And the Oilers are the home team tomorrow night, so they have home ice. They will play June 4th, June 6th up in Edmonton. Then they come down here to Florida and they will play June 9th, June 12th, June 14th back up at Oilers, June 17th back here, and if necessary, obviously, June 20th back at the Oilers. Now, this will be an
Wow.
interesting series. There's a lot of people that think Florida Panthers are very hot right now, and they are. They weren't the best in the in the regular season, but they've been playing really hot. But there are other people that think Connor McDavid, it's his turn, it's his time, that he's going to take it. So I think this will be a very interesting series.
That series
Agree.
out over 15 days.
But I think it's because of the travel time. I think they had to.
People
It's
probably
just
try to do it, but goodness gracious.
it is stretched out. I'm rooting for Florida because Edmonton put my Stars out, and I'm not the biggest hockey fan. I watch the Stars during the playoffs, and they make the playoffs most of the time. So,
Mhm.
I do enjoy getting to watch them. Edmonton just seems enormous. They seem like they oversized us personally. I don't know if that's going to be the same match. I haven't watched a whole lot of Florida to be honest, but I
Mhm.
don't know if they will have that same problem that Dallas had. And they just seem like they're on a mission. I do think it's good for the league if a Canadian team wins a championship. It's been a really long time since a Canadian team has won. And obviously, this is a sport that didn't start as an American sport. So I do think that sometimes it needs to go back to its roots a little bit. So I'm kind of two sided on this. I'm a Gemini. I would love to see the Oilers get put out because they put me out, but
Yeah,
it might be good for the sport if Canada wins as well.
I get it. I get it. I mean, I'm going to be pulling for Florida, of course, but then again, I live here, so you know.
Right.
But
It's such a
I wouldn't be
mind
disappointed though either with Connor McDavid. He is a star in the league, and you always want your stars to do well and to get championships. Let's face it, because
Right.
when we think of MVPs and think of who are the goats of different sports, we always think of who won championships, and we go
Right.
straight to those. And it's how many championships did you get? Are you a goat or not?
true. It is a
Very.
mind for me that Florida has a extremely competitive hockey team.
Well, I think they have two teams, right?
That's
We
true, but I'm just it is. I think that's
I think
the
it's like a regional thing. Even Carolina is really good too. And so I talk about this on the radio show too, that region just really puts out a really good product. And I guess I'm not surprised because if it's 90 degrees with 90% humidity, would you want to go hang out in the ice? Yeah.
Mhm.
it's just so counterintuitive
But
thinking
yeah,
about the Edison long with
Right.
Miami.
you're right, because the last 6 years, the Stanley Cup has had a Florida team in it. The first three were the Lightning, Tampa Bay
Right.
Lightning,
Oh,
and now
right.
the last three have been the Florida Panthers. So
That's
yes,
awesome, though. I mean, why not?
yep.
Agree. All right. Well, speaking of why not a Texas team winning a championship in the world's women's college World Series? So for the first time in a while, we're going to have a team that has never won that's going to be crowned a champion this year. Whether it's Texas Tech, they've never won. Whether it's Texas, they've never won. We always had to run up against that juggernaut that is OU. And just want to credit both teams for beating OU in this tournament. Texas has not beaten OU in the state of Oklahoma since 2014. They have never beaten them in the postseason. So this was a lot of first. Then they're at Tech as well. Um, there's a lot of first for them. This is their first postseason for them. Just really excited for them. Seems like they have an incredible coach. and a lot of backstories that go with that as well. Don't want to cry on air, so I'm not going to talk about it. But there's plenty of sound clips out there about everything, about their coach's daughter and just what she meant to everybody. And he had the pitcher for OU was actually a former student of his, former athlete, and when she was going to transfer with him to Tech, she was going to follow him, but OU came calling, and he told her that you have to take advantage of it. You got to go. When a dynasty like that calls, when somebody like Patty calls, you go. That's just kind of what that is, and I respect that. But it didn't end up going the way for them. So we're going to start a little bit in the previous round we'll just go from the first round real quick. Oregon versus UCLA. This was the 9 versus the 16. UCLA won this one 4-2. Texas versus Florida was the first game. Texas beat Florida 3-0. Then Tennessee versus Oklahoma. Oklahoma won this one in really closely 4-3. I just want to chime in and say OU also has 9 freshmen on their squad, this team. So while they seemed a little young in this one, they will most certainly be back. Then we had Ole Miss versus Texas Tech. Texas Tech wins that one by 1 point, 1-0. That was Thursday. Friday, we had Ole Miss versus Oregon. Oregon wins this one 6-5, and it had to go to 10 innings. Then we had Florida versus Tennessee. Tennessee wins this one big time, 11-3. And then we had Texas Tech versus UCLA. Texas Tech wins this one 3-1. OU versus Texas. Texas wins 4-2. That was this past Saturday. Then we had on Sunday, we had Oregon versus Oklahoma. Oklahoma wins this one 4-1. UCLA versus Tennessee. Tennessee wins this one 5-4. Then we had Tennessee versus Texas yesterday. Texas wins this one 2-0. And then Oklahoma versus Texas Tech. Texas Tech wins this one 3-2. So we will have the start of the finals of the Women's College World Series tomorrow. Texas versus Texas Tech. It will be a pitching battle between Tegan Cavan and Najari Kennedy. So excited to see this. I think that pitching wise, they're very evenly matched. I do give the offensive edge to Texas slightly, just slightly. And I'm doing my best not to be biased about that. I just think that our batting is a little bit better, a little more consistent than Tech's. Tech, their pitcher has really shown out during this postseason, and they've been able to back it up, but it's been close games ever since they hit the super regional. So, once they made it to the teams out of their region, now they did beat Florida State at Tallahassee pretty handedly. But other than that, they've been very, very close games. So I think Texas does have a slight edge offensively, but it's softball. We know softball and baseball, there's an element of luck to those games, and it can go either way. So super excited for this one. We shall see, but there's going to be a champion out of Texas regardless.
Right. And we do want to call out that Texas Tech did kick Oklahoma out after winning 4 back-to-back in a row championships. So what a dynasty, and what a statement by Texas Tech.
Absolutely.
Candy,
over to our happy story now.
Yes.
Our happy story. There's an opening day happening June 7th.
So quick.
Guess what it is?
Tell me.
Baseball already started. I mean, what could it possibly be? But baseball is related to it because baseball is sponsoring. They're a big part of it. The Athletes Unlimited Softball League premieres. It's a premier professional women's softball league in the United States. Features 4 teams: the Bandits, Blaze, Talons, and Volts. The AUSL delivers a 24-game professional softball season across 10 major cities in the U.S., culminating in a best-of-3 championship. It is complemented by the AUSL All-Star Cup, a 4-week season where 60 professional softball players complete, utilizing Athletes Unlimited innovative format, taking place in Rosemont, Illinois, and Raleigh and Greenville, North Carolina. Now, the cities that They're going to be playing in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Chicago, Illinois, Austin, Texas, Salt Lake City, Utah, Seattle, Washington, Chattanooga, Tennessee, Lu- um, s- Louisiana, Norman, Oklahoma, Omaha, Nebraska, and Wichita, Kansas. So some different places.
I do feel like those are pretty common as far as places that support softball, though. They may not, this is the kind of the first run at professional teams. I've known about Athletes Unlimited for a while now, and this was the only step that they had past NCAA play besides the Olympics. So this is the first time that's going to happen, and their commissioner is going to be somebody that we know really well, and that's Kim Ing from the Marlins organization. And I'm sure she doesn't want to claim them anymore. But I hope that I know that she's going to do a fabulous job, and you couldn't have gotten a better person to do it, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
I think she's part of the reason why MLB is backing it as much as they are. And
I hope so. Yeah.
the deal includes funding, marketing support, and games broadcast on MLB Network and MLB.com.
Well, I just want to say, man, it's about time, because obviously softball's been popular for a while now, but I'm super grateful. It's time. Give these ladies another avenue post college.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm excited.
All right, well, guys, I think that's going to do it for us this week. I really enjoyed talking with you ladies and everybody who's been watching. We really appreciate it. And we will be back next week at the exact same time. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Bye.